What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Travis. Of course, you are watching TWA Motorsports, and today got some stuff to do on the dually. And you're probably wondering, well, why is it running? Here's why. Remember in the last video we poured some seafoam in this thing. We did the tune-up. Guys, this thing is running so much better. I guess I just didn't notice how crappy it ran. It ran, but now it's running better. But anyway, we put the seafoam in the oil. Been about a little over 100 miles at this point. It's been setting overnight right now. Cohen's been actually driving this thing back and forth to school, and it's been setting overnight. And so all I'm doing is warming it up for a couple reasons. One, we are going to drain this old oil out and get that all out of the system, and I like to do that when it's warm. The next thing is we have to replace an oxygen sensor, and it's a little easier to do when the exhaust is warm, especially when it's all corroded like what we've got here. So those are two of the things that we're going to do. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is in preparation for the front drop, which we're going to be doing hopefully soon. We need to get rid of that crossmember. You see that crossmember right there I'm pointing at? That's the transmission crossmember. And guys, when we lower this thing, it's going to set really low to the ground and drag a lot. So we don't want that, obviously. And so what I want to do is I want to take that off. I want to replace the trans mount with the DJM one that we've got over here setting on the ground. This guy right here. Okay, that's the new one. It's going to set nice and flush. And I'm going to go ahead and replace the transmission mount itself. So not just the actual, the mount, well, the rubber mount and the actual steel mount. Okay, so we're going to be replacing both of those as well. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to take this one down first, prop up the transmission, and we are going to POR 15 this part of the frame. It looks really gross. I power washed this a while back, and so it's good enough to paint with POR 15. Guys, I'm not going to wrap all the way up to the top side of the frame because obviously the truck's up there, but I am going to wrap onto the inside, the side that you see, and as far up as I can get. But we'll get a little further into that here in a little bit. But first, I need to get my drain pan under this thing after it gets warmed up, and let's get the old oil out of it. Now, one of the dumbest designs GM ever did down here was look at the exhaust right there. I pulled the 15mm out to get or the plug, the oil plug obviously, and it's running out pretty quick, pretty dirty. Not as dirty as I thought it would be, but we'll probably do this cycle a couple times. But now I'm going to use my filter wrench here, which is this guy, and we're going to grab the filter off, which you can see it right there. It's a Fram, which I do not use Frams. I'm a Wix guy, or K&N, or Mobil 1, or AC Delco, but I think we're going to put a Wix on it. Anyway, I'm going to use that to loosen it up. I'm just going to let this drain the whole time. But look, we should, I think I can show you on this side. You can see the oxygen sensor. It's actually right there. That's not the one we're replacing though. This one's good. It's the one on the other side. So I'll see if I can show you that here in a second. Unfortunately, the oxygen sensor that we're trying to reach is really hard to show you guys. It's right up in here. Hopefully I'm not under there where I can see, but back there a little bit. 7/8 wrench, but we also need to get it loose right here. This is where it plugs in. And we'll get it unplugged. And I hope I got the right one. Yeah, it is. It's got like a triangle shape. See that? So we got that loose. And somehow, miraculously, with my 7/8 wrench, I actually already got on it and got it a little bit loose. So I'm going to go ahead and spin it out. Got it out of there. You believe that? Lucky. All right. This is our new one. It's by Bosch. Generally a good replacement. Looks a little different. It's made for this. See how the plug's the same? But you'll also notice they put some anti-seize on that. That one probably never had that. And if it did, that was a long, long time ago. So we're going to just replace this one and plug this back in on the side of the frame where we did. Well, I know I didn't show you guys much, but I did get it installed, and I'll list that in the description down below. But right up there is where it's at. Right there. Now you can see it. And you can reach it with the 7/8 wrench down here under the torsion bar. And then of course we've got it plugged back in right here. And this is like tied to the frame, so shouldn't have any issues with it getting loose. But now I need to get a jack under this transmission, and we need to take these bolts out. Of course, we're gonna have to take the center bolts out too. I guess I need to figure out what size that is for the center mount. Let me see if I can figure that out, and then we'll get the jack under it. Probably a block of wood under the transmission pan. And like I said, I'm just gonna let that oil drain. We're gonna get as much of that junk out of there as possible while this whole process is going on. So those two holes up front are dummies. That hole right there is a 15 millimeter. You can see it right there in the center. That goes directly up to the mount, which I thought that was weird. I don't know what the purpose of those are, but they're just like see-throughs. Anyway, I believe these are 18s, but we're gonna get that 15 out, get the jack, like I said, and a wooden block under the trans, and then we'll get this guy out of place. It's definitely way faster when you have two people. Cohen slid the jack and the block, and we are right under the transmission pan there, just ahead of, obviously, the brace that we're taking out. So I already got the 15 out that's holding the trans to it, but now we need to get these two 18 millimeters out, and this thing should, I think it'll fall out of the way. I don't know, we may have to knock it out of the way. Maybe dirt holding it on. So just so you know, this, does that not look like a lug nut to you guys? That's what's on the top side of these. So you're gonna need 18 on the top. All right, this is what we see from the bottom here. And you're gonna need the 18 to go up. Found a free stick. It's loose. Just gotta go do the other side. Owen got the other side out, and you can see the Crossmember laying on the ground now, which is good. But look how much clearance. You see how much, that thing stuck down like 2 inches. And it was gonna cause a problem. And there's just no way around it. But now, I'm not gonna do it right now, but we are gonna replace that transmission mount. Let's see if I can get some light up in here. That guy right there, 2 15s, one on each side. I have another one of those sitting over there. Guys, I'll be listing all this stuff in the description, but for now, I think I'm gonna take these, I think these are 13s. I'm gonna take those 13s out just to push the wire up out of the way. And we're gonna go grab our POR 15. And you can see where I stopped right there. Okay, that's when we did the bed. We're gonna start right here, and this, don't look at this. This isn't, yeah, don't look at that. I'm gonna paint over all of this stuff. I'm not gonna take those bolts out there, like for this ground. I'm gonna leave it, but I am gonna take those out, and I'm gonna try to get up, you know, where you, like I'm not gonna paint the top side of the frame, but I'm gonna paint as far up as I can go where you can see it looking from the side. And then of course this bottom rail to the inner, and you can see there's a little lip. I'd like to try to get that. We'll just kind of see how it goes. The cross member right here is riveted in. I don't necessarily think I'm gonna crawl under and paint above my head, but we'll just kind of see as we go. We got all the wire kind of tucked up over the top and out of the way, and you can see it's go time. Probably gonna start on the bottom, maybe even slide under up a little further here and do that inner piece that flips up. Just because, guys, this stuff does not come off. When I say that, like you get on your face or your hands or your arms or any skin, it's there, okay? It's gonna wear off. That's how it comes off. But anyway, I'm gonna cut in and out, show you kind of the progress. I'm not gonna bore you guys with the time lapse here, and I don't have a great way to mount the camera. I don't really have great lighting, especially for stuff like this. But yeah, we're gonna go to town. Probably just gonna go from here. I may get up here a little ways. We're gonna do this when we lower the front. So I'm not gonna go crazy up here, but I may go a little further than what I initially thought. We've still got a lot of cleaning to do. Now, I told you I was gonna cut in and out, but guys, it started raining really hard, and so you couldn't hear a thing. We've got it coated from one side to the other. Like I said, I kind of stopped right here in this area because when we do the lowering on the front, I'm gonna grab all of this stuff up and to the point. Remember when we did the front bumper, I came to about that section. So when we do that, we're gonna take this off, get all this cleaned up, and go back together with it. But anyway, I've got one side complete. Looks really, really good. It's definitely gonna look better from the side. But yeah, it looks so much nicer. The other side, okay, there's some stuff in the way like the e-brake and whatnot, but I'm just gonna paint around that. I'm not taking anything else off. This is just kind of how we're gonna do it. I'll show you guys that side once we're finished. But man, it probably took me, I don't know, maybe an hour, maybe a little longer to do this side. I also cleaned up all those bolts that I took out. So the Crossmember bolts, I took those out and cleaned those up. I painted those. So it's gonna look a lot better. It's not gonna be perfect, but definitely better. I've got both sides completely finished now, and boy, is that work. I didn't go on the front side on the other side, but I'll show you guys that here in a minute. But either way, we have to get our transmission mount out. You can see it right there. Just two 15 millimeters. And then take note of the direction that it's facing, because we are, obviously we're replacing it, but we need to put the new one in the same way this one came out. Those should be 15 millimeter bolts. I've got my ratchet here. We're gonna see if we can get those out. Now here's the new trans mount that I got. This is the old one. Look, it's covered in junk. It's not bad actually though. It's not broken or anything. It's just dirty. But you can see the shape. See that shape right there? This goes to the back. So that angle right there under my thumb, that goes towards the back. I'm gonna clean up this area quite a bit before I put that one in. There's grease and all kinds of crap on there. So let's move that out of the way. I'm gonna clean up the bolts real quick on my grinder over there. We'll get this one reinstalled. Cleaned up all the bolts, got all the goo off of them. I clean the threads too, it just makes life easier on you. And then I clean the one that actually holds it to the cross member. So let's get this guy back up in there, and I gotta find some torque specs for it. For the two bolts I just put in, so these guys that go here and here, 37 foot-pounds is what I found. And then 30 for this guy. But now we are ready for our new cross member, which like I showed you guys a while ago. Try to get up without falling over here. This sets completely flush, and I'm not really sure what this is about. I'm assuming this is for the four-wheel drive. What I don't get though is this didn't come with any bolts. I understand this. It's got to have that on it. There's no way around that. Interesting. Okay. All right. Some instructions here. I don't think it has any pictures though. Oh, it does have pictures. Doesn't tell you a whole lot though. All right, I'm gonna have to do some digging here. I may have to set this thing up in there. I may have to find me some bolts to bolt this guy together. No way it's gonna go in like that. I think the best way sometimes to see when instructions suck is to put the old part up by the new part. And this is what we've got. You can see how much lower profile it is. It doesn't have that big section hanging on the bottom, but what it doesn't show you is that you're 100% gonna have to use this. This is where the center hole goes in, just like that guy did. This is the back. I think we're just gonna have to get some bolts. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna loosely thread them through here. I'm gonna have to have my own bolts. It doesn't come with any. And we may have to adjust, you know, kind of where this goes. So I'm not gonna snug them down, but I'm gonna find some thicker bolts that fit through there. And then we're gonna get this thing up into place using the factory bolts on the side. Now, I noticed in the instructions, I guess maybe from the factory, these guys had a clip that kind of hooked under the frame into this hole. Mine didn't have that, and there's not a spot for there to be one. So I'm not 100% sure if maybe the newer ones didn't have that. The other thing is, I don't think there's any way you could not use this extra piece. So I don't know why they don't send bolts, but either way, let's get it kind of loosely assembled and we'll kind of slide it up into place. I may go ahead and put that 15 on the center, you know, kind of to hold it up there. This thing is so heavy, and it's just me out here today. I may have to get a jack stand or a jack on the other side to kind of help me out. This is what I came up with. I think that'll work. And like I said, I've got them loose, so this will move. And then you can see that I painted our factory bolts to hold the cross member in with the POR 15. I cleaned them up and painted them off camera. Look a lot better. now I've got to lug this thing under this truck and try to get it up into place. Like I said, I think I'm going to use this to kind of help hold it, but I think I'm going to have to use a jack or a jack stand on one side or the other to kind of keep it stationary, because yeah, well, I guess honestly, see how this slides in? I guess maybe I could do it that way. I don't know. We'll just have to lug it under there and see. Now you can see I've got these two bolts started on this side, and then I've got the other side on the jack. Now, we're not anywhere close to where we need to be, but this gives me the ability to kind of hold things while we're going into place. Now I just need to center up. My light just went dead. Center up the center of the transmission. I'll grab a light and show you that next. Ran into a little bit of an issue. And here's the issue. When I get this thing kind of up where it needs to be, it's hitting the exhaust. This cutaway right here won't go up. It's like not far enough in to clear the factory catalytic converters. So not really sure what we're gonna do here, guys. I flipped it around. You can see that I've got the mount on the other way to see if maybe it was a little bit different, or I could take it one way or the other, but I don't see any way where it's gonna clear this. After fighting and fighting and fighting, here's what we've got. I got it in place, and I went ahead and torqued the trans mount there, the little single that comes through, to 30 foot-pounds. It was tough. I had to use a crow's foot. I cinched those down just as tight as I could get them, and then same thing with this side, or the outers here. Now, look, I went to the very back hole. I do not remember which hole I guess I could go back in the video here, but I don't remember which one we took it out of, but the only way you're gonna get it to work is the very back hole, at least on a 6-liter, guys. I don't know on the 8.1, I don't know if the exhaust is different, or a Duramax. This is a 6-liter truck. I tightened these as tight as I could get them with my impact. Well, technically it wasn't my impact, but my 1/2-inch drive by hand. And it's in there, but I wanna take you to the other side and show you how close it is. It's actually the exhaust is resting on it. So you can see that I've got it. Everything's mounted though and tightened up. I'm not in love. First of all, I didn't like the instructions. And second of all, the fitment on that side over there is not great, but we're gonna swing over there and look at that. So this side is the side where the fitment issue is. See that right there? That is actually setting on the Crossmember. Now, is it gonna make noise? I don't know, because it's actually an exhaust hanger, but yeah, that was the problem I was having. It wasn't wanting to go all the way up into place. So what I did was, the transmission jack, or what we were using to hold the transmission up, had kind of sunk overnight while this paint was drying. And so when I lifted it up, the exhaust came with it. But I think we're good now. I don't think, we'll just have to see if it makes noise when we're going down the road. But man, it's close. I wish I could get you up there a little closer to see. You can see what I'm talking about. Anyway, let's go. You can see my frame looks nice and shiny. You can see my face on it almost. Looks good up until that point right there. Now, we need to continue on. We need to put some oil in this thing. But guys, there's something else I want to do while we're under here doing all this junk. I want to get rid of that right there. Okay? And when I say that right there, you see that oil cooler? It's leaking. It looks terrible. I don't haul it. This truck doesn't even have a hitch on it right now. We're not gonna be hauling where we need an oil cooler. We're just gonna take all this junk out. There's just no sense in having it. And so those should be 10mm bolts that hold that guy on. We're gonna take that out, and then there's another one that holds it to the side of the block right here. We're gonna take that out, and then we're gonna just disconnect the lines up at the radiator up here and get this whole system out of place. There's just no sense of keeping it. And I have a block off plate for this. So we're just gonna use like the standard LS. Look, Cohen's car doesn't have an oil cooler. The LS cars generally don't have an oil cooler. It's just a truck situation. So there's no sense of keeping it. Similar to the transmission lines, these have a clip. See the clip that held them? I popped that open. Got that 13 loose, got the 10s loose. But we need to come up here, we need to pull back the little sleeve, which I've already done, and we need to get our Jesus clips out, both top and bottom, and then the lines will be free, and we'll just yank those suckers out and recycle them, and then I'll show you what we're gonna be replacing it with. I'm waiting on a gasket to come in for back there. Just got the parts I need, which I'll list in the description down below. But we've got the gasket for this guy. This is what we're going to be transferring, I guess, from an old oil pan that I had to get rid of that oil cooler. And then I also got a Dorman oil plug, the one that we had in it before. The gasket's all worn out, and so I like the one with the built-in gasket, but you need to check that, make sure you've got gasket left. That'll help with some leaks. I mean, this thing's got a lot of miles on it, so it probably needs a pan gasket, a rear main, and we may address those things as we go. But for now, let's just clean up what we can. I'm going to clean that mounting surface, and I'll come back and show you guys. Obviously this goes in between these two. They make a couple different variants of this, but since we've got a oval opening, we need an oval gasket. They also make one that has 2 holes in it. You could probably get away with that one. I rather use this one when this is what we're dealing with. The one with the 2 holes in it's more meant for what we just took off. But either way, I'll talk about torque specs once we get everything cleaned up down there and this in place. One other thing before I get under there and do all this that I need to tell you guys is, look, this is the ones that we took out, the 10 millimeters for the oil cooler to the pan. You cannot reuse those. It's way thicker, so you got to have the ones that actually match up with this. Don't screw up, because these will not go in far enough. It won't seal. See, I've got a couple things accomplished here. One, we got that kind of cleaned off and in place. That torques to 106 inch-pounds, the oil block-off plate that we're installing. I did go ahead and pre-fill the filter, new Wix filter. It says Wix, just on the wrong side. 18 foot-pounds is what that goes to, actually, if you have a way to torque that. And then I also put the new plug-in, which is back there in the middle, 18 foot-pounds on that. So I'm going to go ahead and torque that to 106 inch-pounds, not foot-pounds. And then we can be finished on the bottom of this thing, and we'll get up top and pour some oil in. Got that all snug down. Now up to the top. What oil are we going to use? Well, we're going to use 530. Guys, I like to use Mobil 1 and this stuff, so that's what we're going to be using. Now, I will tell you, I bought this stuff in a box, and I'm not a huge fan of this, buying it like this, because I have to put it in something and then it leaks. I think I about got all this gone, so we'll use the rest of it, just 530 regular Mobil 1 synthetic, and I'm gonna have to put it in one of my little containers to pour it in, unfortunately. Got it full now. What do you think? We think we should test it? We're gonna test it and make sure nothing blows out the side of the block down there, but I also need to back it out because I've got oil all over the floor from spilling. So yeah, I think it'll be, look at all the oil down there. Definitely made some clearance though with that guy. I just hope that it holds up, you know, especially since it doesn't have those clips like it shows in the instructions. We'll see. Got this thing outside, no leaks whatsoever. Checked underneath around that oil pan where we put that new oil cooler delete, no problems. I took it down the road. So far, no noises. Okay, man, that exhaust is really close. But the fact that it's on the hanger, maybe it's not going to make any noise. But either way, we got a couple things accomplished, guys. We had to get that. Well, I say you had to. We really needed to get that in place in order to get the front low. It hung down an additional 2 inches, and now we don't have that. We're not gonna have that clearance problem. So hopefully all goes well. I think we've got some more stuff to do before the guys up front is extremely expensive to lower, and so that's why it's taken me so long. Got some other stuff I wanted to finish up, so we've been throwing some little stuff at it here lately. I know we haven't got to the front, but yes, we are going to lower the front. And I've also went back and forth on a couple things. I've already got the spindles, but look, I want to do A-arms, brakes, hubs, all that stuff while I'm in there, because it's all old and it needs to be replaced. So, but we did get a lot accomplished in this video. Obviously we got the oil change, we got the new oxygen sensor in, it seems to be running fine. The service engine light's not on anymore. The other thing, guys, if you need to know how to reset oil on these trucks, if you turn the key on and then put the accelerator to the floor, not started, but with the key and the accessory run, go to the floor, I think it's 5 times. I did it 5 times and it reset it. It may be 3 or 5, I don't remember, but do it 5, it'll for sure reset it. And then you're good to go. So we also obviously got that cross member in, we got the sides painted, which look way better than what it did before. I never did show you guys the other side, I don't guess, but definitely looks a lot nicer from the side. Doesn't look like a crusty old pickup, but hopefully you guys are enjoying the dually content. We got a lot more to go on it. I got a few other little things that may be in the next video on it. I'm not sure. I'm still waiting on a couple little pieces, but yeah, for one of these days, we're gonna get the rest of it dropped. I think we're gonna do some more paint work on it because the back of it looks really nice. Obviously the front doesn't look as nice, but if you are enjoying all this stuff, please, like always, smash that thumbs up button. Guys, if you are not subscribed, go down, hit that subscribe button. Of course, like always, ring that bell notification. That will notify you every single time we drop a video on this or anything else. And stay tuned to see what we work on next.